Okay, so I was forced to memorize the Bible from the time 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Forced to memorize frontwards, backwards, upside down, everything, right? That's why sometimes you hear me talking. Sometimes I know Marcus even says, man, it feels like church in here.
Get out your
well, it's not church, it's the Spirit of God.
Thing so I can hire you.
Make sense? Because there's a distinct difference, as Kevin pointed out in his video. Listen, just to speed this up, I don't want to get too much on this, but I was taken away from my family when I was 14 years old. And I was in boys' home, so I didn't get to grow up and experience loving my brothers, my sisters, and none of that, because I was somewhere else, and I hated my mother, and I also hated God. Because I thought that he was responsible for this, because she was doing some things to me in the name of Jesus, and it's no different than the things that I see some of these guys doing that are your leaders that you're looking up to, and they're doing the same things in the name of Jesus. So when I look at that, it doesn't resonate well with me. And somebody's going to say, well, that's not every pastor, it's one or two. No, it's way more than one or two. It's religion. And you guys will all talk the same thing. Dr. Miles Monroe said that he went through all of his years of theology school and never, not one time, did they teach on the subject of the kingdom. Not one time. He said they taught him how to perpetuate. So we're going to fast forward this a little bit. I went into the military. I was in the Marine Corps. I went over to Okinawa, Japan. I met Mary there. I met a lot of other people there. I met some other men of pastors there that prophesied some things to me and basically told me, I knew for a long time what my assignment was. I knew that the message that I would teach would be of the church, but not inside the church, of God, but not inside the church. So it's totally separate than religion. That was revealed to me years ago. But it was also revealed that you're the one the church will come to. So the guys who are leading people down the road to a lie, you can always stop. You can always start telling the truth. Let it be known to your ministry, to your people, to your following that Kevin is not lying. Let it be known. Let it be known that Jesus was not born in Bethlehem, if that's what you believe in. How could it be? I'm going to fast forward a little bit more. Listen, by the time I was 16 years old when I came out of the boys' home, I started selling drugs. I didn't have any money. We was on welfare. I had real food stamps. And I wasn't that good at it, and I got robbed in the beginning by the neighborhood guy. And, but fast forward a little bit after that, even when I was doing wrong, I still heard the voice of God. I still heard it. So that just goes to show me that I didn't need to walk into somebody's house to repent, to put money in their plate so that they can raise my self-esteem and sell heaven to me. Even when I was doing wrong, because we're all connected to the source, we all have the same manufacturer. See, when I had low self-esteem, I needed a middleman to God. I'm going to say that again. When I had low self-esteem, I needed a middleman to God. Once again, if you choose to discredit or believe what you want to believe going forward, do that. But I'm going to tell you, when I did that, my life was different. When I came over to the other side, everything changed. And the first thing someone's going to try to tell you, you sold your soul to the devil. Bull. Anything to discredit you, that's why I'm going to tell my story. So after I escaped all the drama in my life, I went to Okinawa. Like I said, I met Mary. But I always knew that religion was fake. As from 5 years old, I knew that it was fake. I knew that these guys talking in tongues, anything that you see in the Bible now, you can automatically do it. You don't even know what you're... Okay, this is not about anything else but revealing the truth, so let me check myself and keep that in there.
Well, yeah, I'm going to turn this call into the police.
I always knew that religion was fake. Something told me that this image of this white God was not who people said they were. 5 years old. As I started to listen to more of Ray Hagding's videos, he confirmed the things that the voice said in my life. So, once again, if God is the same today, tomorrow, and forevermore, sure, how can he say, Ray said this, why is he saying different things to different people about the same thing?
No.
Why is this God saying different things in Matthew, Luke, John, and it's inspired by God, but he's the same God all the time? Who is this benefiting? Who's causing the confusion? I see some people jumping off, right? It's expected. It's expected. They wouldn't get on the boat if Noah was real. I don't know. They wouldn't get on the boat, right? They wouldn't get on it. So I know you'll jump off.
Don't let him get the shot.
Guys, let me just say this before I get into my story. Oftentimes, bad things happen to good people. Right? Bad things happen to good people, and the only way that you're going to come up out of that is if you don't quit and if you really search for a higher power. We really have to get to the point where we're talking directly to our source and following the voice, because it's never, ever going to mislead us. See, what's happened is these religious organizations are perpetuating fear. They're perpetuating the fear that's going to control you, lower your self-esteem, make you feel guilty about the very things many of them are doing, and then they're going to charge you to bring you into the light after they've caused us the confusion. And I'm going to tell you some personal experiences later on also. Okay? So, I bounced around to, different black churches all around. Everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's talking in tongues. Everybody has the spirit of discernment. Everybody has the spirit of discernment, right? Every prophet has the spirit of discernment. Well, let me tell you this. As a creator, as a co-creator in this universe, you have the spirit of discernment too. Everybody does. No one's special. There's no magic dude. There's no magic chick. And you guys are running all around town from this thing to this thing with the flyer on there that's talking about this prophetess that's coming to town, and you're not even talking about Jesus, if that's what you believe in.
Take it
You're
to
not
the police.
talking about God. You're not even... I'm battling right now, guys. I'm going back and forth between the personal stuff and the stuff that really needs to be talked about, but that's for another time. All right? I started to ask these prominent leaders, is there really a heaven or a hell? I started asking them, pulling them to the side as I started making more money, right? So when I was making no money, when I was broke, they would push me to the side. Listen to me now. When I had no money and I was broke, they pushed me to, they just, whatever. They ain't got time to speak to me. As I started making money, I could talk to anybody I want. Why do you think that? I could talk to anybody I want. Any bishop, any pastor had time for me. You know the reason. So I could never get a direct answer. I said, show it to me in the Bible. Because at that time, that's basically all we had to live to work off of. I said, show it to me. And he would never show it to me. I can remember another one that I was going through a divorce, and my ex-wife called up my pastor who, she was going into a different faith, and I was going into a different faith, and we were drifting apart. But I found out that once he found out that there was confusion in my household, he didn't have anything to say anymore. He let us separate. But he would never even respond to her phone call or to her email or to her text that would say, show me in the Bible where it says we're going to heaven or hell. He showed me some remnant pieces that I said, that's not it. But he could never show me this. Guys, this side of me, if you're just coming in, this ain't the real estate investor here. The real estate investor is just how I make my money. This is my purpose. This is my calling. This is what I get jacked up for, and I'm going to help support them brothers that are really putting it out there, that are getting ridiculed. This is that dude. This is the activist dude here that will stand on what he believes in. This is Malcolm. So if you don't want to do my real estate trading because of what my true passion and assignment is, that's cool too. There came a time, I actually got to a point when these guys knew, because I was on radio. You got to understand, I was a radio personality, right? So I was getting recruited by pastors. And I felt like it was like I was in the NBA draft or something. And these guys are coming and calling me and taking me out to lunch because they want the guy with the money in the church. Because at the end of the day, you can pray all you want, but somebody's got to write a check. Council of Nicaea, that's right, Alfred. Well, absolutely. See, people out there know. And it's funny because it's the babes of Christ that you guys call it. The babes of Christ that you're taking advantage of and taking control of and selling these fallacies to. But even more than that, forget about Christ stuff. I don't care if it's Christ or Allah or a head of lettuce. That don't matter. What matters to me as a black man is that you're a black man or a black woman and you're doing it to your own people for money. For the very same thing that you tell us is the root of all evil, money is the root of all evil, and it doesn't say that. See, if money is the root of all evil, now you're conditioning people to understand and believe that it doesn't have to stay in their pocket. Get rid of it. Give it to us because it's better to give than to receive. Better to give than to receive. But that's not even what the original text says. The original context says that it's better to be in a position to give. So that means somebody's got to have some money. At the end of the day, somebody follow me. Somebody's got to write a check. I never got the answers. And then once I started making some money, I believe it's because I pulled out checks for $5,000 to give to a church that the truth was finally revealed to me. And he told me to be quiet. He told me to be quiet. Because I was messing up their hustle, if I say something. I was messing up their hustle. See, because they're selling heaven. Share this with your people, please. Listen, guys, as I started to grow up and really building my personal life, I started noticing more and more things going wrong in my life. Now, when you bring these little issues to religion is going to tell you that that's the devil. But how could it be the devil if all things, and it's your book, all things work together for the good? How is it possible that it could be your training period to strengthen you so that you can lead? Because we all have an assignment. Is that possible? At the end of the day, I've always wanted to help my people come up. I'm going to tell you this about me. I don't like it knowing I come from the projects. From my very projects, if you're on here and you come from my project, Southfield Village, remember when I said let's go to Egypt? It kills me to know that people in my project can't get on a plane and go with me. I care about my people. The information that was given to me by billionaires had to be God directing them to my path. So now I got some information that I can share with other people that will transform their life. And I've taken this to some certain pastors, bishops, to share this information with them so that I could teach it to their church. And they didn't want me to do it. Because if I would have done it and they would have came in, they would have started to become capable. They would be able to make money on their own. They would be able to take care of their families. They'd be able to get the best medical help. They'd be able to get the best psychiatrists or psychologists that they can go get real qualified help from. Instead of going to the person that figures out your business and plays on your emotions to get your money.
We're about to go we'll deliver some cards.
Why wouldn't a person want something that I'm showing the checks, I'm showing that it's real, why wouldn't they want their flock to know that? Started making me think. Are they happy with the people being bound so that they only come to them? Could they possibly be happy? I'm like, no, that can't be. That can't be. So I'm talking from my personal experience. No one can discredit my personal experience. I'm not telling you what I heard or what I thought. I'm telling you what has happened. So as I'm going, my confidence is building and building and building and building. So I get into this thing. I'm on the radio now. We're going out to about 1 million people. I have people calling in. We're selling real estate courses. I'm making a fortune. Now, I'm going to tell you something that happened.
Okay, the networks are down, the equipment is ready, and we've crippled their supplies. Mrs. Rackman has written our check and given us the green light.
As I'm doing this
We're
class,
good to finally move on that
Mr.
submarine and stop this threat once and for all.
I
When you're
started
ready,
that back
get your
in
crew together and head back
1999 in
to
my
planning.
backyard to educate my people. Mr. Ebony Awakenings. Now, remember before I said sometimes bad things happen to good people. Well, I'm out there flipping my houses, doing my thing, closing 3 at a time, multifamily houses, little apartment buildings, and I'm rolling. And now I'm stacking money like you wouldn't, like I didn't believe. I get a phone call one day on the radio from a lady that, we used to do the real estate back and forth on the radio, and it's myself and a partner who's no longer with me. And she came out to a real estate class that we were doing. And she signed up for it. It's when I first started making money in real estate. And what was happening at the time was 2005, I believe. And this is 2005, 2006. This is when, remember, the market was going crazy back then. And then what happened is when the bubble, when it started to tank, the mortgage company started going out of business. So I'm dealing with a mortgage broker who tells me, and then the lady has 700 plus credit. She's going to buy 2 of my multifamily apartment buildings. And I'm teaching her and I'm coaching her, and she says, I want to do this for my family. I want to leave a legacy for my grands. So I said, okay, I'm all about that. That's what Mr. Ebony Awakenings is all about. So at that time, everything is going under. So when she submitted her loan application, the loan broker who's in my building comes back to me and says, so something's going on. The bank's saying that they're not going to accept anybody. I'm like, okay. He goes, don't worry, though. Now, remember, I'm just getting in the game back then. I'm just getting my feet wet in the game. So he says, okay, this shouldn't be no problem. In 2 weeks or so, this should all be over. So I said, okay, cool. So I'm keeping the lady informed.
Merriweather, because security is a private matter. What can I
So
do for
2
you?
weeks passed, and we're trying to close the deal, and they said, you know what? Another bank went under.
helicopter has
Another
been
bank went
dispatched to
under.
your
Another
location.
bank went under. And finally he says to us, she's not going to be able to get these properties unless she has, back they went like 40% down. Well, you can't get 40%. It's not putting 40% down on houses that are worth $400,000. So what I did, because I knew the creative stuff that I learned from a guru, and Marcus, this is why I tell you, don't do the subject to stuff, to be careful. Here's the answer. Here's the reason. So we do a creative deal. See, and back where I'm from in Connecticut, we deal with attorneys. So I had an attorney that taught me how to buy 3 houses at a time. And he said he put them down that we lived in every house, so we didn't have to put no money down. Back in 2006, if you had good credit, you didn't have to put no money down. So he was arranging it so that we could buy 3 houses, and he was writing down that we lived in all the houses. I'm like, well, if my attorney's saying to do it, it's cool. Like, that's what you pay
Waiting
attorney
for go to my other phone so I can call his
Well,
submission.
we were doing it, so we had a relationship already. I had been doing deals with him for maybe about 3 years, 4 years already.
We go to the window.
So when we get to this deal, I learned another strategy of real estate. And this was basically putting them in land contracts and creating the option, and I would make the person the beneficiary and I would be the trustee on it. Well, we set all of this up. She brought in a deposit. I said, listen, we're going to set this up as a lease to own, and we're going to back it up with a land trust that you'll be the beneficiary. So when the bank comes back around, you're going to get the money from this deal. Now, anybody that knows, I'm going to tell you this right now. Let me preface this. I've never stolen anything a day in my life. Never. Went into the military, served my country, always giving back, putting together events, holding Ebony Awakenings events. And this is something that was built to crush my character if I quit. So here we go. So we have the attorneys go through it. We tell the lady, listen, we're going to take $24,000. We're going to put $12,000 on each house. And here's the paperwork. Here's the lease option. Here's the option. All this is going to be recorded by the attorney. And once the banks come back around, because the broker's telling me it's going to be in about a month or 60 days, I said, okay. Well, I get a call from the Attorney General 3, 4, 5 months down the line. And I know that if you have an attorney, you don't speak directly to the popo or anything like that, right? So I call my attorney and I say, hey, Bill, I've got a call from an Attorney General inspector, and he says to give him a call. Do you know what that's about? He said it has to do with the properties that you closed on for us. He goes, yeah, I'll take care of that. Don't worry about it. So I hung up the phone and I didn't worry about it. Now we went on to purchase another business. We had the catering company, Stratford, Connecticut, Lido's Caterers. I'm the first black to do it. Everybody in the area knows now that myself and my partner, that we own this building now. We own this business now. So we have people in the community coming to us, people with the city coming to us and doing business, and we have contracts lined up for like 6 months or a year's worth of work with them. Now, before this whole thing happens, this pastor's always in my ear.
Stuck. It's sitting up instead of closing.
Wanting to be my personal pastor because I'm going out on the road. I've connected with a gentleman named Alan Matthews who's doing infomercials now.
They got the gate. They got
go on TV nationwide.
The bunker thing open and it don't want to close. It's wide open.
Time now, I want you to understand, the whole time, this guy who loves me.
I'm looking at it. It's wide open.
Can we get the plug inside of the thing? Let's run it down. Right here.
Wow. That's crazy.
Settle in and relax. We'll get you there safely. Feel free to help yourself to champagne. Where is it we're going then?
Okay, there we go. Just had to put the plug back in. So the same guy that's telling me
it's crazy.
Who's coming to me on a regular now for money. I'll always be there. You're my son. You're my son. You're my son. I'm your spiritual dad. I'm your spiritual dad. I didn't have a father, so I kind of I fell into that. You know, all of the guys that were in there who didn't have a father, he did the same thing to. So as I'm going through this dilemma, I get another call about a month later. Right? That's funny, the phone just rang. I get another call about a month later, and it's the Attorney General's inspector again. And he's telling me, hey, give me a call. We're calling on such and such and such. If you don't call me back, you know, we're going to put a warrant out for your arrest. Like, warrant for my arrest?
I bet you happen to be out the LS traffic.
What's this about? I pick up the phone because I have some money, and I'm calling my attorney. Hey, Bill, what's going on? Such and such happened. He's telling me that if I don't come and talk to him, that they're going to put a warrant out for my arrest. The attorney says, Cecil, I'm sorry. I didn't get that taken care of last time. I got it. I'm going to call him right now. You don't have to worry about this. I said, okay, cool.
I'd fly one of these helis.
Well, I get another call about 2 months later. This investigator for the state's attorney's office tells me that I have a warrant for my arrest. That I need to come to the station. Call up my attorney again. Hey, Bill. They say I got a warrant for my arrest. Okay, I'm going to call him. Just go down and get it taken care of, and you're not going to have to worry about it.
Just don't tell
I only do it when it's folk. I only do it folk. They got to be
I go down
either 2 trucks.
To talk to them, and they're asking me questions. They pull out all the documents. They pull out the land trust. They pulled out the quitclaim deed. They pulled out all the documents that were a part of the deal. He's asking me, what is this paperwork? I'm telling him, this is such and such and such and such. This is why we do this. This is why we do this. I'm telling him all this stuff. They interview me. I'm answering every question.
I love an argument with gravity.
So,
don't you?
After their investigation, the inspector, who happened to be Hispanic, looks at me and says, listen, I've been doing this job for 18 years. And every question I've asked you, you've answered. You've never blinked.
No, I don't.
And you knew what it was, and once we did the background, they didn't even know what the trust was. They had to bring in an expert. So he says to me, well, if all of this is true, he goes, do you know what this is? And he puts some paper out, and I look at the paper. And he says, I said, that's the deed. He goes, what's supposed to happen to the deed? I said, it's supposed to be recorded.
Was it the
He
drugs
goes,
or the
well, why
guns?
didn't you record it?
I'm not no narc.
I said, well, it wasn't my job to record it. It's the attorney's job. I'm paying an attorney. It's an attorney state. There is no title company. The attorneys represent.
This is
The
only
guy
way
says
to
to
get
me,
around San Andreas. From the beach to downtown Los Santos before your hair's dry.
I've been doing this for 18 years, and I know a liar. He says, you look me straight in my face. Every single time you talk to me, you tell me what's going on. He said, I know that you're not lying. But when he went to explain it to the Attorney General, the only thing she was interested in was getting a notch under
Are
her
you
belt.
comfortable? I do hope so.
So they pressed charges against me and they arrested me. Even though they knew that the attorney was supposed to record the paperwork, they arrested me. They said, now he says, well, listen,
And
this is
here
what
we
we're going to
are.
do. Because you're
You're
right now,
doing
you're in
something,
Bridgeport.
right?
We don't
Here's
want
the
to
place
damage
go.
your name
You
because I know what you're doing.
always rushing.
So what we want you to do is go to this other city up in Rocky Hill, and they're just going to book you there and let you right out. And I'm going to talk to the Attorney General to help you get off of this. Okay. I talked to Bill. He says, okay, that's cool. I'll see you in court. Well, what they did is they arrested me, even though I went up to the court that they told me to go to, the little precinct they told me to go to. They put it in the newspaper in my hometown. Now, the Christian religious world starts spreading that I scammed an old lady. The Christian community world, they never knew what happened. The pastor stopped taking my calls, and everybody separated themselves from me. So now I'm going through a trial for the next 2 to 3 years. Luckily, I got some money, because this takes more than just praying. I have to hire 2 of the best attorneys in the state, submit my evidence, and now I'm going to court because I'm ready to go to trial. I talked to one, I said, I'm going to start off with a public defender. That's what I started off with a public defender, because my real estate agent, my real estate attorney can't represent me in here because it's now a criminal case. This is how the system does. This is how the religious system does. A system is a system that's designed to keep you... This is why if you don't have money, guys, this is why I talk about you got to have some money in your pocket. You got to think like a bank, because if I didn't have money, guess what would have happened to me? They offered me 10 years for something I didn't do. So I explained this to the prosecutor. I'm sorry.
Always trying to get you to plead out on shit.
I ended up firing an attorney who told me that I should negotiate and take 7 years.
Look at that.
So after he's seen my whole story, now what I didn't understand is that the attorneys all, just like the police.
Yep.
I didn't know this. The attorneys will all stand together and they're going to defend themselves.
They're lies. They're lies.
So I got an outside attorney who lived in New York who actually taught me the real estate game. And I told her what happened. She looked at my case and she said, they bamboozled you. They're making you the fall guy on this case. I said, I want to sue the city. She said, let me tell you something. I wouldn't even take this case, because there's no way in the world that another attorney is going to come in and prosecute this other attorney for your black ass.
Ain't that a bitch?
So even though I had money, I was still a nigga, right?
You're a nigga.
I just a nigga with some money. So it quickly showed me that no matter how much good I wanted to do, that there's always somebody to let you know who you are. And quickly turned back to the same people that told me how great I was, and they were there. The very people who worked for the city and had all the contracts for my catering business they canceled the doggone appointments, made us lose all of our money over there, and said, well, because you're going through some legal stuff, we think it's best that we don't do our events there, that we go to the Holiday Inn.
I wasn't going to come out my session, but I'll come out my session
that's
to
cool.
help.
I said, so you're not even going to ask me anything, right? You're just going to take what you heard in the news. And then I find out this dude who wanted me to teach him how to do real estate investing, and I wouldn't bring him in because he didn't know what he said he knew. He's the one passing around the newspaper articles, emailing them to other people. And somebody who happened to be a real friend told me who it was. And it just happened to be a guy that was under one of these bishops that I had a personal one-on-one with and told him what I wanted to do and how to do it. And he said, shit. Just like that, smoking a cigarette in the office. Shit, we ain't doing that. I ain't teaching them how to come up.
Okay, she ain't wanting to make no money.
Personal experience about religion. Share this with your friends. So I hired 2 of the top attorneys, and we actually got to the point where they were going to dismiss the case. So I come in the day of the trial. They were going to do the dismissal. My attorneys already spoke to the prosecutor, and they were like, you know what, we're going to dismiss this. They really wanted me, though. Here I am, a black man, early 30s, rising up, over $1 million, $2.4 million worth of properties. About 100,000 equity in every single one of them. But I didn't know that if you don't put them in a trust, everybody can see what you have. That's why I tell you to operate in trusts. So we go there to the trial, and they pull my record one more time before. My attorney comes back and says, they're pulling the offer back because you have a charge on your record. I said, well, what charge is that? He goes, have you been arrested before? I said, I told you that. I was arrested for fighting when I was 17 in high school. What the system said, I'm 17 years old. They said, okay, I was in high school, 11th grade, 12th grade, had a fight, got arrested in the mall, took me outside. I'm not even thinking about this at 35. They say I said, well, anyway, I tell my guy, I said, well, they nollied that. That's over. He said, well, let me tell you this. They eliminate it on the outside, so when employers go to look, it's not there. But internally, they can pull that up 20 years later, whenever they want, and use it against you. So they ended up giving me probation.
Wow.
But the prosecutor is still trying to push for me to have a felony on my record.
Wow.
My attorney's like, hell no. We're not going to do that.
Because he got money. Because he got money. If he ain't had no money, he'd be in the same boat as everybody else.
A bunch of third degree misdemeanors. I don't know how, 5 or 6 or 7 of them. And then they gave me 3 years probation. Told me that I needed to get a job. My attorney said he's not getting a job because he's a businessman. Just like any other businessman who has a business, he's going to continue doing his business.
Wow.
So he stood up for me. And I had to eat it. And after I made sure that my partner got off though. Here I go again. The guy that's always looking out for someone else. I said, I will not take that deal unless my partner gets off because she has nothing to do with this. She's never been arrested. She comes from a high-end family, and I cared more about her getting off than me. I said, if she gets off, I'll take the charge. How many people do that?
Not too many.
How many people will turn their back on somebody else when they have an opportunity? So, I took the probation. My attorney says this is some bullshit. The prosecutor just wanted to see her win because she was going for whatever the next stage was for to vote, and all she concerned about was wins. They weren't concerned about the truth. So they gave me the probation. I left from my hometown with my head between my tails because these religious people they're happy for my perceived downfall. And then I said, I don't want anything to do with the church again. I've already seen the prostitution that's going on in there. I've already seen the pimping that's going on in there. And when I say prostitution, I mean real prostitution. I've already seen the prophetess who's losing her home, telling somebody else how to make money. That's why I always ask, are you doing this yourself? So I got through that thing, and but I got money.
F.05.
So I said, you know what? Screw people. Screw people. I'm going to take my money. I'm going to go down to Florida. I'm sorry, I didn't have the money then. I'm sorry, no I didn't. Because the attorneys took the money, I forgot. I had to rebuild it all. So I actually left my hometown with like $335 in my pocket, a red duffel bag. So that's my story, guys. The reason that I tell you that story is because I'm going to stand up for something that I believe in. And there's going to be somebody that says, don't believe him because he does this. So if anybody's going to tell my story, I'm going to tell it. I'm going to hold the pen. Because the people who think they know, I don't care if you read it in the newspaper, the press will put anything in the newspaper. Trust me, I know. That I still help because I know what they're going against.
Yo.
And I'm a real leader, and I'm going to help my people, and I'm going to tell the truth. Now, I've done some other things, too. I've cheated on my wife. Just like a lot of you pastors have done. Right? What else? I used to have a lot of girls. What else?
Facility atmosphere and critical. Please replace.
That's who I am. So, you can't discredit me.